Hey, third graders. Welcome to Monday Genre. This is actually one of my favorite genres because in third grade, this genre has a very special place. At the end of the year, we will have the Wax Museum where you get to pick a person in history that has influenced you or inspired you. You get to research that person and then write a report and act like you're that person. Dress up like that person. Really cool. So that's one of the reasons that this is one of my favorite genres in third grade. Let's look at our I can statement. I can identify features of an informational text, such as a biography. So we're going to look at biographies. And here's your to-do for today. You're going to watch this mini lesson. After you're done watching this whole mini lesson, you will complete Monday Genre Workbook page. Click this link, and it will be on your Reading Wonders backpack. Or you can click this picture over here. We are going to get to read some pretty awesome biographies this week. One is going to be about Mary Anderson's great invention, and another text that you will read on your own is The Amazing Benjamin Franklin. So let's review our I can statement. I can identify features of an informational text, such as a biography. And let's look at our anchor chart, biography. The story of a real person's life written by another person. So the person that the story is about does not write it like an autobiography, which is what we read last week. This week, we're reading a biography, which is written by a different person. A biography. Here's some bullets that will help us to better understand a biography. Tells the true story of a real person's life and is written by, you got it, another person. Is told in sequence or time order. After the past couple of weeks working on sequencing of a text, you guys are pros at this. So a biography is told in sequence from the beginning of a person's life towards either their present state of life, so if they're still alive, their current age, or if they've died, the biography goes in sequence all the way to their death. It may have diagrams or sidebars. Those are also called text features, which we will explore more of. Let's read this biography, Mary Anderson's Great Invention, thinking about the essential question, how can problem solving lead to new ideas? A lot of the times in a biography, the person that the biography is written about had some kind of problem in their life and they're trying to solve it or accomplish a goal. That's why the biography is written about them. So let's read to find out, what was Mary Anderson's goal that she accomplished? What problem did she solve? We're just going to enjoy and read for the gist right now, answering that question. Then we'll go back in the text and close read, looking for features of a biography. You might think that a ride in a bus or car is the same today as it was long ago. That isn't true. The first cars were not as fast. They were noisy. Cars didn't even have windshield wipers. Could you imagine driving in a car and not having a windshield wiper? How do you see? Look at that illustration. The guy is looking out of his window trying to clean it off. That's a big problem. Makes me think of our essential question. How can problem solving lead to new ideas? Well, I know that this is a biography, so it's a true text. So maybe Mary Anderson's problem was not having windshield wipers. When it rained, drivers rubbed their windshields with an onion. The oil from the onion would repel or keep off rain and sleet. It wasn't the best solution, but there were no better substitutes. Nothing else worked. Then a woman named Mary Anderson solved the problem. There's our features of biography. The author is now introducing Mary Anderson. It started with snow. I love when authors give us headings. So now I'm thinking there's a problem. There's no such thing as a windshield wiper. And I'm thinking the snow stuck on windshields. It looks like it's stuck on the windshield of a train, and then the train probably couldn't see where it was going. Mary Anderson's going to have to solve that problem. Mary Anderson grew up in Alabama. In the winter of 1902, she went to New York City. It was a cold and windy day. The sky was a gray curtain. Snow was a white blanket on the ground. Mary was cold and wet. Because she wanted to warm up and get dry, she rode a streetcar. So right here, the author's telling the story about Mary Anderson in sequence, where she grew up and how she went to New York City. Back then, some streetcar windshields had two parts. They opened with a push. From her seat, Mary watched snow and ice build up on the windshield. The streetcar driver could not see, so he pushed open the windshield. This helped him to see better. As a result, snow and ice blew in his face. Soon his nose and ears were ice cubes. Other cars kept stopping, too. Sometimes the drivers hopped out. They wiped off their windshields. Then they got back in and drove. As a result, traffic moved slowly. The next step. There's that heading again in this biography. That must be telling me that Mary Anderson's going to take a step to solve the problem of not having windshield wipers. I love it. It gets my brain thinking about what this section is going to be about. Mary thought about this problem. How could drivers clean their windshields without stopping? Could they do it without opening their windshields? Back home in Alabama, Mary sketched her idea. Then she added notes. She wanted to examine her solution to make sure that it worked. Next, Mary did her own investigation. She looked for facts about what drivers needed. She invented a windshield wiper that a driver could use from inside the car. Then she worked out a design, or plan. On paper, Mary's invention looked simple. She hoped drivers would find it easy to use. Let's look at that diagram. Mary Anderson's windshield wiper. Window. Wiper. The first windshield wiper was moved by a handle inside the car. There's no new heading, so that tells me that this paragraph is still about the next step that Mary Anderson's taking. Mary had a model built, so she drew it, and now she's building it. It was made of quality wood, rubber, and metal. Soon, the model was ready to test. It was fitted on a windshield. The driver moved a handle inside the car. The handle caused a blade to move back and forth across the glass. It worked! Mary's idea was a gem. She felt encouraged and was sure it would sell. Solving the problem. This heading is giving my brain a clue that Mary Anderson found the solution to having windshield wipers, cleaning the windshield during rain and snow. Mary's windshield wipers solved the problem, but it took many years before people used them. That's because most people did not own cars. By 1913, more people bought and drove cars. Those cars had windshields. Finally, windshield wipers began to sell. Driving became safer and easier because of Mary Anderson's idea. Let's read this text feature, this sidebar. Safer to drive. Cars from long ago were different from cars we ride in today. Here are some more inventions that helped make driving safer. Here's 3 bullet points. 1 bullet point. The first seatbelts were used in 1885. Second bullet point. Cars stopped at the first stop sign in 1915. And the third bullet point. Cars first used turn signals in 1938. After reading this biography, I always like to come back to our essential question. How can problem solving lead to new ideas? Well, Mary Anderson saw a problem. Cars and streetcars, they didn't have windshield wipers, and drivers could not see effectively out of the windshield. So she started problem solving. She started drawing up a new idea. And where did that lead? It led to a solution. Cars now have windshield wipers. Thank you, Mary Anderson. That brings us back to our I can statement. I can identify features of an informational text, such as a biography. Now, some of those features are it tells a true story of a real person's life and is written by another person. It is told in sequence or time order, meaning like beginning, middle, end, starting when the person's born, ending at the person's current situation or death or the solution that they reached. May have diagrams or sidebars. Those are text features. Now, one of your to-dos is to answer questions on your Reading Wonders backpack. So I'm going to model the same questions that you will be answering with our text about Mary Anderson. Something that we need to be thinking about as third graders to help make our brains stronger is restating the question. So you'll notice in my response to question number 1, 2, and 3, the restatement will be in blue. So third graders, this week it's very important that you start restating your question. It keeps our brain focused, and it also helps us to write complete sentences. So we're going to close read this section, the next step. Number 1, a biography tells a true story about a person's life and is written by another person. How can you tell that Mary Anderson did not write this text? Well, here's that question. How can you tell that Mary Anderson did not write this text? When I restate my question, I'm going to use words directly from the question. I'm not going to use my question word though, because that tells me I'm looking for an answer. I'm going to respond with a statement. This is talking to you or me, so I'm going to change that to I. I can tell that Mary Anderson did not write this text. I need to include the words directly from the question. That's what you're going to do today, third graders. Restate that question using the words from the question, forming it into a restatement. Notice what I have in blue. I can tell that Mary Anderson, I is right from you, can tell that Mary Anderson did not write this text, did not write this text. Those words are directly from my question. Now, that started my complete sentence, and it's also keeping me focused on the answer. So I have to look for that answer in the text. Mary thought about this problem. This shows me that someone else is talking about Mary, because I wouldn't tell you a story saying Mrs. Rieger went outside today and played with her dog. Instead, I would say, if I'm telling a story, I went outside today and played with my dog. But if I'm telling a story about my son Joey, I'll use his name. Joey went outside today and played with his dog. Same thing in a text. The author is using Mary's name. The author did not say, I thought about this problem, or my problem was solved. The author used Mary's name. So let's go back to our restatement and our answer. I can tell that Mary Anderson did not write this text because the author is speaking in third person. Mary thought about this problem. That's the evidence that I'm pulling from the text. As a third grader, that's what you want to do. You want to go back to the text, and pull the evidence out. Let's look at how we restate and answer this second question. What is the text feature in this text? All right, so I'm not going to use my question word. And I'm going to ask myself, who or what is this question asking about? The text feature. So I need to use these words in my restatement. The text feature in this text. So that's in blue, and I got those words directly from my question. And then I'm going to go back to the text. Here's the text feature in this text. What is it? The text feature in this text is the sidebar that gives more information in the text. If I don't have these words in blue, if I didn't pull them from my question, that tells me as a third grader, I need to use my question to start my sentence. Go back into that question to start your complete sentence, or what we call now a restatement. Let's look at question number 3. What does the text feature show you? Here's my question word, what and does. Now I have to ask myself, what is this question asking me about? The text feature showing you something. So I'm going to use those words to start my sentence, my restatement. They will be in blue. The text feature shows, what does it show? It shows a diagram of the windshield. It shows a diagram of the windshield wiper Mary Anderson invented. Again, we pulled the evidence directly from the text. All of these questions and answers show the features of a biography. Another person wrote the text. Mary Anderson did not write this about herself. That's a feature of a biography. Text features, such as sidebars, are a feature of a biography. Text features such as diagrams in the sidebar, that is also a feature of a biography. So third graders, we just met our purpose as readers today. I can identify features of an informational text, such as you got it, biography. Have fun learning about all these amazing people, one of my favorite genres in third grade. Enjoy.